Whoa, I was not expecting that. Well, we intended to go live on the Killa Convos page, but we're going to take it over here. Let's get Killa Queen on stage. Killa. Buenos tardes. How's everybody doing? But first, I really don't know about playing music because, IG, kind of got a little beef with my account. But the worst they can say is no. Let's get some Mackin on this. Send this live to a couple heads. How's everybody doing? Greet one another as y'all come in. And as always, I want to say rest in peace to the masterpiece mouthpiece. That's simple to P. Come on now. Whole lot of Mackin going down here tonight. Let's get Killa Queen on stage. Let's get some people up in here. Give me some palm tree emojis. Give me some black and brown hearts. Come get a dose of this game. Let's get the girl up on stage. There she is.
What's good?
What's good? What's good? What's good? I was hoping, the even the good people over at Meta who can put their mouth on somebody's genitals. Whoa! Pineapples? What?
Pineapple.
Pineapples. Who lives in a pineapple in Detroit, Michigan?
Me.
Anyway, before I get lost in the sauce, and I think we gotta start opening up Killa Combos with saying our good friends at Meta who can put their mouth on someone's genitals. Should that be our opening salute?
Cause why?
Because why? Because they're coming against this game.
That's insane.
Yeah. But I don't know if they let baby accounts like Killa Convos accounts go live yet. So anyway, how's your day going, Queen?
It's going good. It's going good.
All right.
Worked a long ass fucking shift today. I'm fucking tired. My feet hurt, and all I heard was like yelling all day.
You're
So,
too young to be saying you're tired and your feet hurt,
man,
sis.
that's what I said earlier today. I'm like, shit, I'm 27. I feel like I'm 47. My fucking Rice Krispie treats and shit, like snacks, crackle, pop
Yeah.
types of shit.
Yeah, that inner middle-aged lady's coming out.
Sick big. Too fast. Too early.
All right. Well, we got a show tonight. We had a great show last night. Shout out to Mr. Green. Shout out to Mr. Cisco. But there's something I've been wanting to get off my chest, and there's something that I've studied quite a bit to a T in the past couple of years. Really put it in my heart, put it in my spirit, and taken it with me everywhere I go. And it's called this game. Now, some of you may not know what that is. Some of you got to understand that Sugar Free said that the game came to this country without a passport, and many of us have it. Okay, but cool points out the window, man. When we are talking about the game, we are talking about uncommon information, particularly information pertaining to the lifestyle of pimping and 304ing. If you don't know what a 304 is, please take the nearest calculator to you, not a calculator on your phone, but a real calculator like you had back in math class, and type in the numbers, 304. Now turn your calculator upside down and see what that spells. Okay, you get it? Cool. So let's just say as a content creator, I look for inspiration. And although no, I am not a participant in that lifestyle of any kind, I am a complete square. I wouldn't describe myself as a regular guy, but I'm not one of them, obviously. You know, somebody who's college educated and grew up in private school should not be identifying as that. But there's a lot that I have learned from studying that, from reading that, from listening to interviews from that, from listening to podcasters and live streamers like the late great Sinful to P, who
Yeah,
come from that. And it's a bit of a contradiction because when you have so much love and respect for women and admiration for women, and you find yourself studying the ways of people who earn money off of prostitution, there's this contradiction. So, Jess, what do you think?
oh, um, somebody very wise once told me, you know, that keeping it player and keeping it real, that shit's a lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the way you carry yourself. It's the way you move when you're with your peoples and when you meet and greet other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really is. It's a lifestyle, and I feel like there's two ways people perceive being a player or a pimp. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, you have your pimps that are pimps, you know what I'm saying? And then it's a lifestyle, the way that people carry themselves and hold themselves accountable to certain shit, keep their shit a certain way, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like all right, I grew up in a household with two moms and one dad. You know
Really?
what I'm saying? Like,
Can you
my
break that down for us? Two moms and one dad?
so my dad, had two women. He had my mom and he had my sister's mom. So I grew up with two women in a household and a father. And then on top of that, like, my dad had other females, you know what I'm saying?
Really?
And had kids with them and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? So, like, already growing up, that shit was normal to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, but what's crazy is my dad is one of the realest niggas you'll ever meet in your life. Like, the way he carried himself, the way he took care of his kids, his home, his bills, his finances, everything. Like, it was still the way that he carried himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, he looked out for the block. You know what I'm saying? Made sure that he gave back and did whatever he needed to do for his family. And, it's just, it's different types. I guess, like I said earlier, it's different. People perceive different things with different words. You feel me? So it's like it all depends on how you take that
Yeah.
shit. You know what I'm saying? To
Shout out
me,
my shout out my partner Young Naz in the building. Young Naz in the chat. Everybody go follow him. Dope MC out of the Bay Area.
but so I feel like it really is. It's It depends on how people perceive it. I don't perceive it as a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, um, I've been around it my entire life. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, yeah.
Well, although I haven't been around it my entire life, one thing that I can attest to is that, and feel free to disagree with me on this, anybody listening or Jess, but being part of black male culture is truly being in player culture, is truly understanding. You got to shout out to passion players who just joined the chat, eight ball
But
on them. Um, Part of black male culture is player culture. Why? Because to quote Kendrick Lamar, it's like, damn, I got bitches, damn, I got bitches, damn, I got bitches, wifey, girlfriend, and mistress. And although that's not right, and I do really wish that there was more teaching of young black men and boys how to love, how to be a husband, how to be a good boyfriend, how to be a good partner, that even my own dad, who rest in peace was married to my mom for 39 years, was saying to me back when I was at Hampton, when you step on that campus, you should have lots of ladies. You should have be friends with lots of girls. And there's nothing wrong with being friends with lots of girls, but it's just a culture of the endeavor to have multiple women, you know. And it's almost like, a straight black man might have a polygamous thing to him in a slight way. Feel free to disagree with me on that.
um, Were there downsides to the dynamic that your parents had?
Oh, by the way, shout out to Linwood out of Pittsburgh. Make sure you follow the homie, dope R&B artist.
Um, to be honest, yeah, because growing up like that and shit, I kind of grew up like it was normal when it had more than one female. You know what I'm saying? Like you had your wife at home and then you had your side piece or whatever the case may be. So unfortunately, I did grow up thinking that shit was normal. But,
Right.
you know, like over time and shit like that, you come to a conclusion and you realize like that shit is not normal, you feel me? If you want a healthy relationship and shit like that. But, you know, that's just how my parents were. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm not gonna lie, I'm glad that I did experience life that way because to be honest, I had the best childhood. You know what I'm saying? Like my dad, regardless of how my dad was or what he did, all the gang banging and all that shit, like he still made sure he did what he had to do. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's why I have the work ethic that I have is because of him. Like, everybody be posting them memes and shit like, oh, Mexicans are the only ones I know that fucking get trashed all night and then wake up and go to work at 5 o'clock in the morning and then keep drinking on lunch break. Like, I do that shit sober. Like, I'm a hard ass worker and my dad did that shit too. So,
Well, mind you, I think nowadays with millennials and Gen Z, there's a stereotype that like we don't want to work as hard because we're so sensitive and we're so into cancel culture that, a younger person today could not go out and party till 3 a.m., then show up at their job at 9 a.m. versus generations past would show up to their job at 9 a.m. wearing the same clothes they wore to the club.
yeah, that's insane because I've never done that shit before, but I
I
have like stayed
have.
for late.
Yeah.
I change my clothes and shit, but
I'll actually tell you, I was out with my partner Unholy, and if you guys don't know Unholy from the 818, he is a videographer and photographer who's worked with Schema Posse, and he's worked with like Rucci. He's worked with a lot of LA hip hop artists and toured with them.
yeah,
But he had a birthday party in 2022, and me and me and another content creator I'm not affiliated with anymore went to that, and then the next day, I had a shift at Television City, and I was so hungover on one of my first day too. It was one of my first days working American Idol, and sometimes if you go get trashed, that's part of being in your 20s and 30s. If you're going to get trashed, you got to balance that out with still handling your business.
yeah. I seen Unholy be doing videos for Honey Jack Smooth and Freebase.
Shout out to them. Shout out to Freebase, Honey Jack's Move. Good peoples. Good peoples in the palm tree.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean when we kind of examine, the specific things in the lifestyle, Jess, what are some of the things that you've learned from studying the lifestyle that you have applied to your life?
Mm. Well, one thing I've learned like over the years is keeping it real with yourself and other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what it is, it can be the worst shit in the world, and as long as you're honest about it, like, you know how people be like, "Oh, it's a white little lie,"
Yeah.
shit like that. Like, no, if you're being real the entire time, and you start real, you end real, like you're just a real ass person. It's easier to fucking have conversations with people and just be yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really how you carry yourself as a person. Like it really is. And I don't know. I just feel like I apply that shit to my life every day because it's something that I've always known. You know what I'm saying? Like there was times when I was a kid, you know what I'm saying? I used to lie and shit like that, but like as an adult, like I've grown from that shit a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like I've grown as a person and realize that keeping it real with yourself and with everybody else,
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
makes every relationship genuine, whether it's friendships, relationships, like family ships, like everything you can think of. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah, it's kind of like Shakespeare said, "To thine own self be true." But one thing I want to say about when it comes to lying, and I'm big on honesty is the best policy. But in certain situations, if they say, the truth will set you free. But in certain situations, you're going to have to just tell the truth and not, tell on yourself without telling on yourself.
Mm.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that I learned from the lifestyle, particularly from the late great Sinful to P, is to mentally respond and not emotionally react. So when you hear something that might get under your skin or might agitate you, or it might be fighting words, or it might be someone trolling in your comments and somebody pissing you off in your DMs, or it might be, somebody who's acting a fool at a show, and all of these various things that could aggravate us. It's to take that step back and let a moment pass, and then be able to, come from here. Always come from the head.
Yeah,
You know,
and yeah, that's something that like I tried to take and use it in my own life. You know what I'm saying? Because to be real, I watched a good amount of YouTube videos of his. You know what I'm saying? And it's nothing compares to getting that game from them OGs. You know what I'm saying? Like
right,
people here before us and people who, really live that lifestyle and carry themselves that way. It just I don't know, man.
right. And I was a big student of Sinful's, and our friend Slim Gorilla had a great relationship with Sinful to P, and Sinful exposed people to his music, and they had a cool back and forth. And and in the time of Sinful's passing, I think Freeze is it. Shout out to Freeze, out of Long Beach but based in Phoenix, has really carried the torch as far as what Sinful used to do with his lives. And although like Freeze, has to go away from time to time and do what he got to do, like he'll really come back with a lot of wealth of knowledge and just a lot of game and a lot of wisdom on various topics, from not just relationships pertaining to that lifestyle, but things that'll happen in the music and entertainment industry, relationships between what are considered squares, like me and you, like regular working people. But I've learned tremendously from these content creators, Jess, and I kind of wanted to ask, outside of Sinful, of course, being one of them at the top, I think for both of us, are there any other creators from that lifestyle who you've learned from?
Hmm. I mean, shit. You have you have Master P. As much as everybody want to say like he wasn't a player or in that player life, like the way he carried himself was like a boss. You got Iceberg Slim. He's a OG. OG. You
Right.
got fucking shit. I'm gonna go ahead and throw Slim on there. I'm gonna throw Soul Jose on there as well, just because of the way that they progressed over the years and everything like that. They've been the same. You know what I'm saying? They've stayed the same person. They've moved the same way. They just is the way you carry yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I have to throw both of them out there. Um, shit.
I mean, particularly if we're going to talk about rappers who rap about the lifestyle, and now from studying that lifestyle, I understand literally every single thing they're talking about. I got to
Mhm.
say Jay Worthy, first and foremost, because like so much of his rhetoric is the game and really being out on blades and really, really breaking them like that. So just to, as a fan of that culture and as a student of the game, like to hear bar for bar and recognize everything that he's talking about, coming as somebody who's not from the streets, but I totally get it, I'd say him. And then the other one I really related to even before I got really into Worthy was Metro Zoo. Are you familiar with them?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, around the post Raider Clan era, there was a collective out of Miami called Metro Zoo, and Slim's actually worked with.
Yeah.
Yeah, Slim's worked with them, but if you want to hear them, their best project to me is Buddha Therapy. Think it. I want to say it came out in 2011 or 2012.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, but they have songs like Pimpin' Ain't and Choosing Fee, and I don't really have to break down like that those speak to that.
Okay. Um, I've never really heard. I mean, I feel like I've heard of them, but I haven't like listened to any of their stuff. So
Sorry, I was getting a FaceTime call. Go,
no,
go ahead. You were saying?
no, I was just saying that I ain't never really heard of them at all. It's a person or multiple people.
No, Metro Zoo's a collective. So the main guys in it were Lofty 305. I have an old interview on him on SoundCloud. You could check out Lofty 305, and then his older brother Ruben Slick. Then there was Mr. B and Freebase.
Hmm.
Yeah, so there was at least four dudes in this camp out of Miami, but their thing was that they'd have like this crazy like graffiti and almost like Keith Haring looking illustrations to go with their music.
Hmm.
But they were very inspired by like kind of Wu Tang meets like Def Jux, like indie backpack rap, but like they just had their own style, and it was kind of this group really never toured, never got like a major endorsement from another crew or camp, or signed a big deal, but you know you know um yeah, shout out to Metro Zoo. They were out for a while, but I think Lofty 305 still uh releasing music.
Well, I think if well, whoever's just drinking should take a shot. So
I'll take a sip of water
you'll
since I don't drink.
for water, but whenever y'all watch this, y'all gotta take a shot, and I don't know if you didn't or not. So, mm.
Okay. Um, but on the contrary, there's allegations and stuff that have been put against some of the people that we're mentioning in this. Like Sinful to P had an allegation of child sex trafficking and impregnating a minor, and then there's been things that have came up on Freeze's name as well. So when you have these serious allegations as far as like child sex trafficking, and these are no joke charges. So what do you think about that? Like, if you, as an admirer of this culture, when there's also this like illegal connotation to it.
To be honest, I learned to separate everything when it comes to people. Um, like SPM, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
he had allegations on him as well, and I actually my father rode with them for a long
oh,
ass time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, my father rode with them for a long ass time, and that's kind of how like I was into music since a kid. And my dad always had me around it, and you just learn to separate shit because it's like at the end of the day, like you don't know what happened. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't know you don't know the facts. You know what I'm saying? And obviously, people will be like, "Oh, he had allegations. He went to jail." You know what I'm saying? But if we're being real, colored people get thrown in jail every day for everything. You know what I'm saying? Like we're the first people they look at for a crime or an incident that happens. You know what I'm saying? So it's like in reality, you don't know. You know what I'm saying? And that's at least how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? Like you just never know exactly what the fuck's really going on for real. You weren't there when it happened. You obviously just putting pieces together and making up shit yourself. You know what I'm saying? And then there's always three sides. You know what I'm saying? There's your side and how you feel about it. There's what the person feels and what they went through, and then you got, if they're incarcerated or going up against the police and all that shit, like, you, there's three different sides to the story, so which one you gonna choose? You know what
Right.
I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I always believe there's three sides to the story: your side, my side, and the truth.
So it's like, at the end of the day, I separate everything, you know what I'm saying? Like, what, that's as best as I could put it. You know what I'm saying? I separate, like, for instance, the whole Chris Brown and Rihanna shit. Like, I separate it. I separate whatever these people say he did and whatever may have happened. I separate that shit from him. I love the fuck out of his music. He's a great dancer. You know what I'm saying? Like, he really is a genuine dude. Like, he help out the community. He help out a lot. He does a lot. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I just separate that shit.
Right. And Chris Brown's like gang connections, I'm curious about that. I think that could be a whole like episode of its own. But one thing I did want to bring up about, the separation and the whole legal thing is that according to like Bishop Don Magic Wand interviews who I've uh that I've watched, he said that like originally back in the day the purpose of the pimp was like to protect prostitutes from police or from people who would want to hurt them. And I part of the reason it's criminalized is to simply keep black men locked up. Because you look at who mostly does this, who's left out of job opportunities and corporate opportunities. But when it comes to what a 304 can do, there's all, as my friend Ruby Monroe would say, when you're at any job, you have a manager and a supervisor. You know,
Hmm.
so just because there's this street element behind it, it's still maybe organized by the pimping. But I think the law gets involved, and I believe that like their goal is just to like lock a black person up.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I've had like a lot of run-ins with police, which is crazy because it varies from state to state. So like when shit happened in ATL, I got let go. And then up here up north is completely different. Like the South, they're really like, they try to give you a slap on the wrist type shit. Up north, they getting you like. And one of my good, well, I don't really want to tell her story about it because I feel like she maybe she would want to get on here and talk about it. But she had an incident um up here as well, and a lot of the racial profiling happens a lot up north. Like, it's so fucking bad up here.
Yeah,
Like, so.
yeah. But I feel like that's just an American thing. Like no matter where you go, I mean, it's like they say racism as American as apple pie. I mean, from how the way prisons in California are segregated to redlining all over the place. But one point I want to touch on before I forget that you brought up, Jess, is like in the laws in the South, for instance, like with marijuana, there are places that'll throw you in jail for a roach in your ashtray. You know,
Yeah,
and I think that's because like in Texas, for example, aren't like the prisons like privately owned.
most.
So, the more people that are going to jail, the more like, you know, the more they'll get granted money. So to like keep opening them. So like basically jail is a big business down there.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, at the end of the day, nothing's new here. It's just unfair.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Um, Is there something that you've noticed, like whether it's in the music industry or in any other line of business, that you've noticed a similarity to the game?
Mm. To be honest, I feel like there's different versions of the game. You know what I'm saying?
Break it
Like you
down.
said, the game is something that you teach people, right?
Right.
And it's information that is vital. So it's things that could benefit you in your life or loved ones or whatever the case may be. and it's information that people should really look for. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel like anytime someone is given some fucking new information, some stuff that they never knew before, some new shit, like
Mm-hmm.
that's game. You know what I'm saying? Like regardless of what way you use it, could be somebody putting you up on game at work. You know what I'm saying? Or hey, talking to some homies and they putting you up on game with a venue or some shit like that. It's different. It can be used in different ways.
Right. But I'm saying though, like, have you, for example, if you've ever been to like your local strip club or been to any type of business such as like a restaurant or seen like in the music industry, anything that is similar to a pimp and 304 relationship?
Um, to be honest, I ain't really seen none of that. Like I ain't seen none of that in those strip clubs. I've been to a couple of strip clubs here in the D, and I haven't really seen none of that. Like most of the people up here are kind of really independent for the most part. Like I've never seen no, scenarios or any shit like that. To be honest, up here.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
But I've
And
been out, a couple of times to the strip clubs, you know what I'm saying? And all that other stuff. Like even when I go to venues and stuff like that, like I don't really see anything like that. Like if it the human trafficking and whatever happens up north, like they're very discreet. Like it's like silence up here. Like it's very discreet. Like obviously the police stations and people know that people are going missing and shit like that. But it's like I don't know, man. That shit's just it's insane.
yeah, I think, it might vary state to state or region to region. But one thing I want to talk about is just like for me personally, when I'm, soaking up game like a sponge and then, I'm applying it to things is like I think everybody wants to, have a successful relationship, a long lasting relationship, a loving relationship. And me personally, I don't know if I've experienced that. I have a lot of dating experience under my belt, but no serious relationship experience. Why? I'm I ask myself that every day. Like the song says, I'm still a young man. You know, I recognize that. But when it comes to like a long lasting relationship, and we're probably not going to answer that this episode, sometimes I honestly feel like, especially when it comes to me, where I've started a podcast where I'm interviewing sex workers, TPP, and I befriended a lot of them. And when you have, a lot of different female friends from that lifestyle, and then, you also are dating, and then dating a combination of some in the lifestyle, some not, you know, I feel like I've kind of given my brain at times like a lot of mixed messages. Um, so it's kind of interesting to have all of this information, to have all of this game, and to not be ever in a committed relationship. And it and honestly, when you get a lot of different young ladies liking you, and such a fast turnaround, what is that supposed to make me think?
What do you think?
This is what I ask myself every day. Like,
I'm
I
curious.
don't.
Like I'm curious
Okay,
because way that you
what?
the way that you like the way that you talk about things, you explain things, like you really be breaking that shit down. So
Okay, look, I heard, and I want to talk about him too. Not this person, but Slink Johnson was on Sharp Tank with no jumper about 2 years ago, right? And he said the most profound thing is like, "I'm not a pimp. I'm a slap, something like a pimp." And it's like I laughed about that, but I was like, "Holy fuck!" I low key kind of relate to that. So at the time, it's like I have a lot of female friends, and then I had an increasing number of working lady friends, and it was like, whoa, and then even whether it kind of gets a little sticky when it comes to like being compensated with gas money or being taken out to a meal, all of these things that I appreciate. but you can't help but feel some type of way when it's like, you know, people need rides, and you know the old saying is ass, cash, or grass. You know, and you know I don't want to be that guy who's like, you know, demanding things for favors. You know, and I don't want to even get into that tit for tat continuity with anyone. But nevertheless, you know, you get what I'm going at. You know, the fact that like this, I told my older cousin, who's, you know, a street dude from Minneapolis, but who's currently free Shantae, by the way. He locked up in NorCal right now. But I told him, you know, on the phone, like, yo, man, the way I'm kind of moving and grooving right now, this sounds like a pathway to some pimping. And this, I was not comfortable with that. Because, girl, you know me. Like, that's not me. Like, I'm, you know, I have fucking Mario behind me, man. I'm a nerd. you know, but nevertheless, you know, that I got, picture this, right? Yeah, I listen to all this indie music. Yeah, I'm into underground rap, but it's like, you know, I throw Sinful to P on or Freeze on or Sharp on like it's nothing and listen to that for hours on end too, you
Mm.
know? So
You got sound in this bitch.
shout out to Southbound. But you know, like take it like this. Take it like this. You are you familiar with Kelpie?
With who?
Kelpie? You know, the one who was on the white kid from Orange County who went on Soft White Underbelly with two girls, and he claimed he was some pimping and told his whole story. And then he did No Jumper with Sharp and Almighty, and then he ends up getting in a full, like, he ends up just getting his ass beat by Almighty Suspect.
Nah, I don't know nothing about that.
Okay, yeah, this is from over a year ago. But basically, this kid who's like 18, 19 years old, named Ken, but his real name was his pimp name was Kelpie. He goes on a platform called Soft White Underbelly. Are you familiar with that?
No.
Oh, okay. Let me put you up on game. Soft White Underbelly is a YouTube channel with over 5 million subscribers. This journalist in LA named, or this photographer in LA named Mark Leda interviews like pimps, prostitutes, drug addicts, drug dealers, people strung out, people who are down on life and stuff and such. So as Slim was saying, yeah, he don't know what he's talking about, silly white boy. So anyway, and I want to say late 2022 or early 2023, this young white kid named Kelpie goes on there, tells his whole story, has two 18-year-old girls who are obviously on drugs, and he admits that they're on drugs. Um, on there with him. So then he's invited to No Jumper by Sharp, who also is a real pimp, was a real pimp, right?
Mhm.
A real pimp who had made several appearances on Soft White Underbelly before getting hired full time at No Jumper to have his own show called the Shark Tank. So he's invited to Sharp Tank to do an interview, right? So him and this dude, Almighty Suspect, who's another one of the hosts on No Jumper, who's also a rapper from LA, him and they're sitting and you know has some pimping in his background. His history ain't no mystery. Like he really be out there. So they're sitting down talking, and Sharp and Almighty just go off on Kelpie. Right. The bottom line is the conversation ends in Kelpie calls Almighty a bitch. Almighty gets up, swings on him, and beats the snot out of the kid. Right.
Mm.
So yeah. So it's because Kelpie was imitating a culture that he did not belong to. It was like putting on a costume, you know. It was like Almighty compared it to like wearing blackface, you know. So
Okay.
yeah. So like I'm just trying to get your take on like how do you feel about people imitating the pimp game and like even wearing pimp costumes on Halloween and things like that.
Uh, to be honest, I feel like the real ones know. You know what I'm saying? Like the real ones know who's playing, who's not. You know what I'm saying? Like you just know. And then as for the pimp costumes, I don't. I don't know. I don't know about the pimp costumes. That part caught me off guard. I'm not gonna lie. The pimp costumes, I'm not sure because it's like I don't know. I see people like dress up as cholos on Halloween,
Yeah.
and I think it is weird as fuck because that's a lifestyle. You feel
And
me?
a
Like
lot of people do that and
yeah.
these are
So
real lifestyles and real cultures though.
yeah, exactly. So it's like I mean. I know to them, like, it's all, fun and jokes and shit like that. Like, it's a costume to them. But to others, it's an actual lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like when people go and dress up as cholos for Halloween. I really don't. I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, can't really go for the pimp and the pimp costume either, for real.
Being part of Mexican American culture, let me ask you this: do you see pimps in that, like a cholo pimp hybrid, if you will?
To be honest, I'm trying to figure out how I elaborate on this. Just because, all right, so obviously a lot of people know that I grew up in San Antonio, Texas. I grew up with a father who has been in MS-13 since he was a kid. Um, a lot of things happen in, gangs and shit like that, to where, you know, I feel like it's the same thing in every culture. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there's white pimps, there's black pimps, there's Mexican pimps. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's pimps in every color, if you ask me. So it's
Yeah,
like,
like Nelly Juice said, pimp juice is colorblind.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
But however, Sinful to P has also gone on record to say, pimping was designed to advance the black man. Because, like, P Nutty the Pimp said, like, you take it back to post slavery, when white men were grizaping, black women, uh, against their will, or, they had to, women had to do what they had to do to survive. Like, how can you provide for your family? Well, they ain't got no money, so they were prostituting. And then, the husband was finding a way to make a profit up to that. So then when black people started to exit the South and move north, like to cities like Chicago and Detroit, you know, white women were going for them, and they found a way to monetize that. Yeah, So this is just what I've been told, what I've studied from listening to a lot of interviews. I'm an interviewer. I listen to a lot of interviews. So
yeah.
yeah. Is there anything else, Jess, you want to touch on this topic?
Um, I just feel like people who don't really understand the lifestyle, like, I feel like they shouldn't really,
Oh,
really speak.
squares ain't never gonna understand.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I just feel like if you don't understand, like, don't speak on it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
because a lot of people, to the naked eye, you might understand. Well, why would a woman give her money to a guy just because, like, you don't understand their situation? Like,
it,
have you ever been homeless? Have you ever been on drugs? Have
right.
you ever not grown up in a house without parents where no one's teaching you, about a savings account, about a checking account, how to build credit, you know, you know,
Yeah. So that's
and at
just how,
this,
you
yeah,
know, I just feel like this shit is a lifestyle for a lot of people, and it's not just some shit you can just, don't take
yeah,
lightly.
it's
You know what
a
I'm saying? Like,
exactly, it's a lifestyle for a lot of people, and I think I found interest in this because at the end of the day, I'm just interested in psychology, particularly the relationships between men and women. Dynamics of marriages, dynamics of how families raise children, and dynamics of this, dynamics in dating. It just comes down to psychology.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a subgenre of psychology. All right. Um, there's a lot more we could get into with this, but I think I would want somebody on the live who's part of the
I
lifestyle. Yeah,
agree.
there's only so much that you and I can, we're going to tend to agree on most things with this, but we need somebody who's really in it on
Yeah,
both sides, the male side and the female side.
minute, and I want to pick somebody's brain who
Yeah.
really lives the lifestyle for
Yeah.
real.
So this might be one that we got to revisit.
I agree. Part two for sure.
Part two for sure. All right. You got anything to plug? Anything else you want to tell the people?
I just want everybody to be fucking safe. You know what I'm saying? Have a good 4th of July if you celebrate it. If you don't, have a good day tomorrow. Make sure y'all tune in on Killer Convos. We got some more guests coming on the show. We got a lot of things coming up. This is our new dope summer series. We're getting a little grimy, a little dirty, finding good topics to talk about. We're going to be posting food that we eat, places that we visit, music that we find, good throwbacks, you know what I'm saying? That barbecue music, that carne asada music, you feel me? All that good shit. So y'all tune in
Yeah.
for.
And I don't even think we getting dirty and grimy. I think we just getting our feet wet with all types of topics that really pertain to us, and no matter how different we look, it's us as a people. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
but by dirty and grimy, I mean put in the work in.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, yeah.
be back to back type shit. We're gonna have pre-recordings and lives. That to me is getting grimy and dirty because that's we're putting a lot of work into
Yeah.
it.
I'm ready to do some heavy lifting. Part of like when I see the goal being manifested in real time is like again what I told you after when I called you, to see so many different people from all these chapters in these 9 years of Palm all in this live and all joining in this conversation, like the homie Black Sand who just joined in. He's performed with Slim Gorilla, and I've interviewed them both. One, so yeah, to see all these different people, from all these chapters in the time I've been doing this, all interacting in the chat. That's really what it's all about.
I, I agree. I agree. I love the support and shit from genuine people, because it's nice to see like the people you support you back, even if they just tune in for a little bit, you know what I'm saying, or comment or interact and shit, because you know that shit is dope.
There you go. All right, we're gonna wrap it here for now, everybody. It's been another Killer Convos. You already know. Come grill with us. Come chill with us next time. Peace, love, palm.